Yes, I'll have a knuckle sandwich. Yes, I'll have a knuckle sandwich.
Hey, you guys, we've got Nando in the house, and I'm going to try and point the right way. Boom! I did it first try. We got Nando in the house. I'm Alex. We're your host for Knuckle Sandwich MMA. Welcome, Nando. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good.
We got something special for you guys because we told you at the beginning when we started this whole podcast, we're going to delve into all kinds of different aspects of MMA, in particular with our flair and our flavor for UFC. We will pick up other fighting promotions as we go along, but right now we're going to focus on one special thing on this podcast, and that is how do matchmakers make matches? How do they pick fighters for a particular card? And we're going to go through all that stuff. Nando has done some. This is his brilliant idea, by the way. Okay, so I want to thank him for thinking outside the box. Nando, before we do that, before we get into it, because I know you got some cool stuff to share with us, I do want to recap the Dern Jan fight card. We're just going to do the main card, you guys, because we want to get to how do matchmakers match fighters, okay? And that's really important, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and start off with the main card. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way all the way to the top, to the main fight. We got Mike Davis versus Vashelev Borshev. And take it away, Nando.
That was a good fight. And I told you, I think I hear a cold beer
Oh,
in
God! I
in
forgot
my
about
future.
that.
I told you Mike Davis was gonna win. I liked him going up and down, and he was all over him like a cheap suit. He he
Davis looked good.
Yeah.
He looked crisp. He looked strong. Man, I mean, I owe Nando a beer. Okay, I lost. I'm gonna admit that. I don't like it, but I'm gonna give him that beer. Okay, but Davis was everything that Nando said he was going to be last week, and just spectacular fight. I loved it, man. Great fight. All right. Let's go with the next fight, and that is Sodiq Yusuff versus Don Shanis. What you got for us, Nando?
I don't remember that. I think I didn't see this fight, so I'll leave this one to you.
Okay. Well, Yusuff whooped this guy's butt. Okay, he finished him early in the first round, and Don Shanis was he was submitted very, very quickly, and I don't want to say that he didn't look like he belonged there, Nando. I do want to say this, that Yusuff, he's got his eyes on the prize, man. He looked very, very strong, very determined, and relaxed. He wasn't like stiff or anything. So it was a really great fight, but it was an early submission first round, and way to go, Yusuff. Now we're going to move on to the next one. We got Honi Barcelos versus Trevin Jones. What do you got for us?
Let's see. I saw the Randy Brown and the Mackenzie Dern, so I'm just trying to make sure it comes out right.
No problem.
So that was a unanimous. Oh yeah, I did see that. It was a unanimous decision, Ronnie Barcelos, and it was all for Ronnie Barcelos. It was an interesting fight. I don't remember much about it. So I was doing all kinds of stuff on Sunday morning.
Well, the fight was good, but you could see they both came out guns blazing, man. It was a very, very action-packed fight. Barcelos looking good again. I thought it was going to be closer than it was because I picked Barcelos, I believe. I can't remember, but I thought it was going to be a little bit more evenly matched. Hey, watch out. Hey, go away. That's my dog. Sorry, guys. But I thought it was going to be more evenly matched. But what happened was Barcelos just kept moving forward, and he broke Jones down. He eventually broke him down, wore him down, broke him down, broke his spirit, snatched his soul. Very, very good fight. And now we're going to move on to the next one, which is another fight. Randy Brown versus Francisco Chernaldo.
Yeah,
First on that one.
and that fight, Francisco did look his age. He was trying to get him, but Randy Brown, once I noticed, he was a lot taller than Chernaldo, and he kept him at bay. He was keeping him with the kicks. He was hitting him, and he wasn't trying to finish him, which I wish Randy Brown would have tried to finish him. But he was just edging out unanimous decision. Yeah. And
so you think he was fighting a little safe?
I usually when he fights, he's a lot more aggressive and he's going for the kill. And I didn't think he was going for the kill in that fight. What do you think? Do you think he was?
I agree with you. I agree with the analysis because I thought he was. I think he would have been embarrassed if he would have got knocked out or something by Chernaldo, who's 44, 40,
Yeah.
40 something years old. So I think he was just like, I got to save face, man. I'm gonna win this fight on points, but I don't want to get knocked out by this guy. And Chernaldo, he's still game. Let me ask you this, Nando: does he still belong in the UFC? Chernaldo.
Yeah. What weight class was that at?
That is welterweight.
Yeah. Well, welterweight. I mean, there's fights he still can have, but in that top 10, I don't know. I mean, there are fights to still be have. I mean, he can. I don't know if he wants to be a gatekeeper, but I think he's got maybe 2 left.
Okay, and I think he didn't gas or anything, so I just think, like you said, Brown was too long, too tall, and kept his distance and fought a smart fight. So it was a super exciting fight, but still competitive, and I like that. So let's go to the main fight of the card, and that's Mackenzie Dern versus Jianan Yan. What's your thoughts on that one?
I think Mackenzie Dern was grappling, but she was grappling for the girl to submit, and Jan wasn't going to submit. And Jan's, defense was good, and she just kept her with those teat kicks, and what wasn't knew that she was going to have to get her into the later rounds to win the fight, and that's what she did. But I think I was listening to Frank Mir, and Frank Mir was talking about submissions or whatever, and I really liked what he said. He said, I don't put a submission on somebody for them to tap. I put a submission on somebody to break their arm or to put them out, and it's their decision to tap. And I think she wasn't going, she was going like careful, and I think she has to make a statement. I'm not saying break somebody's arm, but she's got to put somebody in danger so that people know that her submissions, because she's a black belt. She submitted Gabby Garcia. Gabby Garcia is like 60 pounds heavier than her, and she submitted her. So I think she needs to be a little more aggressive with her submissions, and she needs to not hold back, because if that's what you have, if Jan was going to punch her, she wouldn't be holding back. She's going to punch her to knock her out. So that is your job. If you're submitting someone, you submit them to make them pass out, or to that's the fight game.
Yeah, amen to that. Well, what I saw was this, because I picked Dern to win, and I think she got frustrated because she couldn't do anything to submit her. She couldn't get that final lock in on any position. She was transitioning very well. She kept her on the ground. I don't know that I agree that it was just a decision majority. I don't know that I would have called it a draw either, because when Mackenzie had her on the ground, she at least had control time. She stayed on top, and the reason why they were never stood up is because Mackenzie kept. Well, Jan was defending really, really well, and Mackenzie, she kept transitioning, all these different moves, trying all these different submission techniques, and they weren't working. So they had to keep it on the ground. You can't stand them up if they're advancing, right? You can't, they have to let them go. But I think I agree. I watched the post-fight show, and I agree with the commentator who said Jan pulled it out. They thought it would have been a draw until Jan, in the last 30 seconds or whatever it was, pulled it out and then got on top and started doing the ground and pound. Even though she wasn't really scoring, it looked really good. They said if Mackenzie Dern would have kept her down till the end of the fight, it probably more than likely would have been a draw, which I would probably agree with. But Mackenzie Dern was heartbroken because she had her eyes on fighting for that title, and now she's going to be bumped down the ladder a little bit. But her striking did look a lot better than it has in the past. But I think she was trying to prove some points on the feet too, because their coach kept telling her, "You had to take her to the ground," and she took a long time to get her down, to make that decision to go for the takedown. But every time she did, I mean, she missed a couple, but she should have took her down a lot earlier. But she was trying to prove my striking skills are right there, and I'm not just a grappler. And I think that ended up costing her, because Yana's she was tough on the ground on preventing, submissions and preventing getting in bad situations. But it was a good fight as far as grappling. If you were a grappling fan, that was a great fight.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to move to our next segment, the one that is highlighting this podcast, and Nando brought it up. I thought it was a great idea. So I'm going to let you take it away, Nando. I'm going to jump in. If you have something for me, ask me a question. I'll try and jump in and fill in as much as I can and give you my thoughts on it. So Nando, take it away, baby.
Okay, so what I was going to talk about is matchmaking. So like Tuesday, every fight card, Saturday night, Dana goes, "I'm not going to talk until Tuesday." So what happens? Like, what happens when they go into that war room? And that's the question I, been thinking of. And then I wrote down some different matchmakings I would do. But I think, you go there, Hunter Campbell, Sean Shelby, and then they have another guy, and then they must have many, many assistants. So to me, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, they write down everybody, the assistant's job for that week. They say, write down, all right, who's injured, who's not injured, what are our time, like what are our times of people being ready, and then they have to think of location. Okay, like we got some locations. Where is this person at? Is this person near somewhere? We have someone like, for example, Yair. I can put him in Arizona. I can put him in New Mexico. I can put him in Texas. I can put him in a big Mexican fan base. You know what I mean? Someone like Volk, we want to put him in.
Come in here, Nico.
Australia. Look, the next UFC fighter.
This is a future MMA fighter right here. Go ahead and flex, bro. Yeah, Nico. Yeah, there you go.
I'm too What's up, Fernando?
Hold
on, man. Let me
We're having our podcast now. Get out of here. Bye.
So like Volk, yeah, England, Australia, and he has a big fan base. And another thing is they want to push somebody to get them more of a fan base. So it's like, for example, I was thinking of Jorge Masvidal. What do we do with Jorge Masvidal? This week in rankings, he got kicked down by Rakhmonov. Is that his name? And he's saying, I want to fight Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards was telling him, I want to fight you. I want to fight you. No, you don't want to fight me on my come up. Now you want to fight me when I'm already the champion. So that's not really option for him. Let's be realistic. So I think Nick Diaz would be a good fight for him. And I think Daniel Rodriguez would be a good fight for him. And Rakhmonov I think would be, if they're trying to push Rakhmonov, he's one ranking ahead of him. It would be good, but it wouldn't be good for Jorge Masvidal. And then you got to think of their managers and the fighter himself going, oh, okay, they want me to fight. No, that's a bad matchup for me. Let's and they have to give a fighter 2 fights per year.
3.
3. So they have to offer him 3 fights.
Yes.
So it's like what so in my mind they go in there, they go, all right, Dana goes, all right, let's hear it. Puts his hands like this, all right, let's put stuff on the wall. All right, I like Nick Diaz versus Jorge. I like Nick Diaz versus Hamzat. I like Nick Diaz versus Stephen Thompson. What are we? And then they go, all right, well, all right. The assistant goes, all right, Stephen's ready. We're still working with Hamzat because they say he's in Russia right now, and they took his passport, so we can't have him. So what do you think? Like if you were a matchmaker,
Ooh.
for example, what would you do with Colby?
Oh, that's good. Well, let me tell you my thoughts, because I think you hit on all the main topics of what goes on in that war room. I could see the brackets all over the place. I could see names and possible matchups, but everything that you mentioned can make a fight or derail a fight. For example, who's injured? Okay, you can say, oh, we got this perfect fight in this perfect location, but he injured his ankle and he's out for the next 3 months. And I don't think they make cards, at least full cards, 3 or 4 fight cards in advance. Because if you go to the UFC website, you don't see too many. You might see one matchup on a particular card coming up in a month and a half or something like that.
Well,
The rest of it's unfulfilled. Go ahead.
The fight card next week doesn't even look like it's all together. I go on UFC and there's 5 fights, and I'm like, it's next week, man.
Yeah. So now I'm curious about the contracting too of matchmaking too, because you know how Dana White says, well, we got to offer 3 fights, but you say 2, and that's maybe you have to fight at least twice. They're going to offer you 3, but something may happen, right? But my question is this: these new young bucks coming in, is their contract all the same? I highly doubt that every contract is a cookie cutter contract. You know what I mean? That they're not making the same commitments or promises or whatever to every single fighter. I think each contract is probably negotiated, and they're all customized and different. So because if you look at the UFC's roster, they've got so many fighters that you haven't seen for a long time. And I don't believe that it's just simply that they don't want to fight, or they're still training, or they're injured. I don't think there's that many that are like that. I just think they're going with who's going to make the money, who's going to bring the eyeballs, like you said, the location, the matchup, the money, who do we have to pay? Like you mentioned Jorge Masvidal. They got to pay him a lot of money whenever he fights, even though he's lost. Same with Nate Diaz when he was fighting, all these guys. Conor McGregor, if he comes back, they're going to have to pay him a ton of money. And so there's all these factors. And if you're in the war room and you're looking at that whiteboard, man, that's a difficult task, because it has to make sense, not only just to the UFC brass, but it has to make sense to the fans, right?
Right.
Because everybody was criticizing the Nate Diaz Hamzat fight. He's going to get murdered, they're just, and there was so much negative press on that. Did they make a mistake? What happened? But so as a matchmaker, you've got your job cut out for you. I would personally like to be a matchmaker. I think it's exciting because you get to look at, you'd be a great matchmaker, Nando, because you're the stats guy. You would have all this information of, wins, losses, are they strikers, grapplers, wrestlers, whatever the case may be, and be able to break it all down. But ultimately it comes down to this. All of that goes on in the background, Nando, in my personal opinion, it comes down to this: is the fight going to be entertaining?
Yeah. They try to make fights that people want to see, and you have to think like a fight ahead. Like they're saying right now, is Bo Nickel and Jamie Pickett gonna happen? Like, because Bo Nickel doesn't want to fight in the prelims. This is his first fight. You should feel all right to fight in the prelims. I don't know, and then they're like, they're not gonna put Jamie Pickett and Bo Nickel in a main event. They're gonna have to give him somebody else. They're gonna be all right if that's what you want. Then you're gonna get Kevin Gastelum. You're gonna have to get somebody that is
Well, one thing
in
that's interesting, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Nando, is that Dana White pays attention to their social media followers,
Mhm.
because he gives them a lot of clout. If, somebody's got 3 million followers on Instagram or 6 million, they're going to command some of those where you think how could they put him in that spot, but they go off of that stuff, off of your social media too. What's your influence there? Because with Logan Paul and the Paul brothers, they proved that point. You got some YouTubers boxing, but they've got so many followers, they made money. And so they want those built-in eyeballs. If you're following a particular fighter on Instagram, for example, Nando, and he's even responded to one of your, questions or comments before, you're going to tune into that dude, right?
Right. Yeah, of course. And Bo Nickel was from Penn State. He's a wrestler, and he was their guy. So he talked to the media all the time after every um, match, tournament. So he knows what he has to do. So he even said, "I know what I have to do. They have to give me the good fights. I'm going to sell the fight. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to sell it. I'm going to tell people why they should watch it." You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's good on the mic. There's no doubt about it. We've talked about that. We touched that on that a few episodes back, as far as what fighters have to do. If they are independent contractors, then that's their company, that's their brand, and they're the ones that have to push it. Because if they can push it outside of the UFC, whether the UFC is giving them a push or a bump, and they're increasing their following and they're making a statement and people are listening to them, the UFC is going to pay attention. They're going to be attention, and you see all these fighters that you never hear from unless they're fighting. But then you
Yeah,
got
you
others.
forget about them.
Yeah,
and
forget about
and what you want in a fighter is like me and you talking about Colby. What's Colby gonna do? Like he needs a big fight, but he's number one. So whoever he fights, he's gonna have to be like in wrestling term, give them the rub. He's gonna have to he's gonna have to let somebody go in the limelight with him.
Well,
And they're saying Hamzat right now. Hamzat would probably put Hamzat in a title picture if he could beat Colby, which is not an easy fight at all.
no. But I
He's
think
not.
if Colby's number one, you asked me this earlier, who should Colby be matched against? To me, it's a no-brainer. It's got to be Leon Edwards. If you're number one, they haven't fought before. That's the fight to make, because he's the one that's going to bring eyeballs to Leon Edwards, not the other way around.
Yeah, but I think Leon Edwards is going to be tied up with Usman. You think he just waits for the winner and hopes Leon wins?
I think that's going to change. I think the landscape on that's going to change. I think Usman is not going to be ready, because getting knocked out like that, even though you haven't been knocked out like that before, that takes part of you, man. And I think as he's trying to get back into the title picture and everything, I think it could be very plausible that medical conditions could come into play, and Colby should be ready for that call. because if the doctors say, yeah, we're kind of iffy on this, we notice some other things going on, they're not going to wait a year for Leon Edwards to fight. They're going to want to get that thing moving, because it's different now, right? Tell me if you see this trend, Nando. They're not waiting so long. They're not waiting a year for a champion to fight anymore, like they used to back in the day. They're trying to move this thing along.
You make me think of is now they what they'll do is an interim, and Kobe will be like, I'll fight Hamzat if it's an interim, because no matter what, I'm guaranteed a fight again. And if it's Usman, then I have to fight Usman because I am the interim title, and we need to, and if I'm Kobe, I'm like, okay, I'll fight this guy that nobody wants to fight, and I'll beat him up. But then you have to give me an interim title, because then it is a title. It is a title for my name. No matter what, it's still a title. And I'm guaranteed a title fight.
Yeah. And I don't know if Colby's going to be super interested in another interim title belt. You know what I mean? I think, see, that's what I'm saying. I don't know that Hamzat should, let's say, for example, let's say Usman can't compete within the time frame that they're trying to give him, 6 months or whatever. It should not go to Hamzat. It should go to Colby. Okay, because he's number one. I mean, but again, who's going to bring Leon is kind of, and I like Leon. I think he's a great fighter, but he has no presence except maybe in the UK. Most people don't know who Leon Edwards is. They are starting to know, but they need somebody big like a Hamzat or a Colby Covington to come in. And I think because Colby's kind of been screwed a few times in the past, I think it's definitely his time, even though he lost to Usman twice. Leon is a different animal. And I think that if Usman can't compete, it's got to go to Colby. But I could be way off track too.
Think so? Yeah, it's very possible. What do you think they do with Mackenzie Dern now?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Because
I
they
know
think
that she's
Jan
already
is in title contention.
well.
I think-
She's been bumped down on the rankings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mackenzie Dern, I think she's going to have to win 2 or 3 more fights now to even be considered. I don't think she can win a fight and then she's right back into title contention. I think, and I don't think it helped her, to be honest with you. And I would caution other fighters against this too. And that is, appearing, broken. I'm sorry I let everybody down. I mean, I know the emotion takes over and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think that's good for, the mentality of a champion of, okay, that the brass is looking at. Okay, she says, you know what, I lost, but I'm hitting that gym. Okay, I'm fighting tooth and nail to get that title belt, and it's going to happen next year. When you say stuff like that, then people are taking notice. But when you're like, and I understand, you go through all this and you want to win so badly and you don't, and you feel like you let everybody down, you kind of let that pour out. But I think that should be more like a private type of a thing with your closest family and your team and that kind of stuff, rather than posting it out there. I think you need to come strong, confident that, okay, I made a mistake, but that won't ever happen again. I can promise you that. And I think that's going to hurt her as far as what her next matchup's going to be. I don't know who they're going to match her up with. I don't have a clue. Do you have any ideas on that one?
Well, she's ranked 6, so Jan is 5. She has Lemos, which would be a bad matchup for her. She's fought Tisha Torres, which is 7. There's Rivas at 9. And then on the top, there's Rose. I think Rose would be a good matchup for her, but I think, I don't know. That's a no win for Rose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Jessica Andrade would be one. She's ranked 4th. But yeah, I think Jan goes right to the title.
Hey, I think I don't know, that's really difficult. I think she's going to end up sitting out for a while, to be honest with you, until the landscape changes a little bit, because there's really, I mean, like right off the bat, there's no logical fight in my head for her yet. I think things have to shuffle around a little bit, because all eyes are on Jan right now, and they're on Esparza and Whaley. You know, they've even been off of
Rose.
who did you just mention?
Rose?
Rose, yeah. You know, they've kind of been off Rose. She's been laying quiet and, you know, doing her thing. So I just don't see Dern in the conversation for a little while. I think she's going to fade away for a little while at least, you know. But I did see improvements in her. Jan, she looks like, man, she wants it bad. She wants it really bad. It'd be interesting to see Jan versus Whaley.
Well, yeah, because they're both heavy hitters. The kicking, I mean, that would be a really good. I would like that fight a lot, because I think Jan, I don't know, like people are saying Jan is just Whaley, just a little bit less. But I think Jan could win it. I mean, she's with Team Alpha Male. They come up with a great game plan. I know Dominic Cruz talks crap about him all the time. He goes, yeah, well, not Dominic. Yeah, Dominic Cruz goes, yeah, Cody Garbrandt beat me, but they had 7 guys fight me from that camp until they finally figured it out. Just, but I mean, they did. They had everybody: Chad Mendes, Benavides, Uriah Faber. I mean, everybody fought him. But yeah, I think they're going to come up with a great game plan. But you're talking about 2 great wrestling camps, because she's with Henry Cejudo, and Henry Cejudo is not bad at all. And Henry Cejudo might probably get her into some wrestling and that karate that Henry Cejudo likes. It's going to be a very interesting fight.
Yeah,
I think Whaley beats Esparza, but you never know. You can't count Esparza out. She said the reason she fought that way is because of Rose, and Rose says the reason she fought that way is because of Esparza. Well, somebody needs to go into the fire, because that was, a lot of people were upset with that fight.
Yeah, including me. I'll tell you what, though, I'm the odds against our Esparza. I'm not agreeing with that. I think there's a chance she retains the belt. I think if Henry Cejudo is working wrestling, you know, I don't know how fast you can learn to be a really good wrestler. I mean, it usually takes a lifetime, you know, to get really good. But I've seen improvements in Kevin Holland before the Hamzat debacle. I've seen.
Oh yeah, Kevin Holland just got a fight.
Yeah.
Kevin Holland said he retired. Now he's fighting Wonder Boy.
Yeah,
and that's a great fight for him. That's a great fight. Great fight, Hunter.
But his wrestling did improve. You know, it definitely improved, because even as he fought off a couple of transitions, I was surprised about with Hamzat. And there was a couple of transitions where he was fighting really hard to get out of that. You know, but like I said, you know, Whaley could come out wrestle heavy and nullify our Esparza, or the defense, you know, of you know, sprawling and doing really good at sprawling and stuff like that. Because then Carla really doesn't have anything else. You know, she's not really a good striker. She can strike, but not anywhere near Whaley. So her bread and butter is the wrestling. But I don't want to count her out, because a lot of people have always counted her out, and she comes back and wins.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, if you're Rose, you want Whaley to win, because you've already beat her twice.
Well, she's been champ twice, and nobody's done that.
Yeah.
She's she's the first one to do it, and wrote down history. But so let's talk about Holland. We got a minute and a half. Let's talk about
Okay.
Holland and the Karate Kid, the Karate Hottie, or Mr. Wonderful, or Wonder Boy.
Wonder Boy.
Well, he's
Used to be
like 40 years old. How do you call him Wonder Boy? How do
No,
you-
I was thinking about that yesterday at work. I was like, he needs a new name, Wonder Man, Mr. Wonderful, like Mr. Paul Orndorff or something. Like he is like, I just don't like that name, and he's not. The thing is, his karate is kind of slowing down. It's not as fast and as fluid. I think it's a great fight for Holland. I think Holland's going to get in there. But I mean, Wonder Boy uses those kicks like a jab, and I do like that.
Yeah.
Kick,
Well,
kick.
sir, we got to cut this short because we got less than a minute. So
Okay.
we want to ask you, please like, subscribe, and share. Our views are going up. Not fast enough for me, so help us out.
Yeah.
Nando,
we're
thank you
trying-
for everything. And we want to say, please subscribe to Knuckle Sandwich MMA. This is it for us. Next week, we're going to have a fantastic show for you. See you on the
And then
flip
the
side.
week after, Islam.
Yeah, there you
Oliveira.
go. There
And
you
that
go.
fight card is packed.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Bye for now.
Bye.
Yes, I'll have a knuckle sandwich. Yes, I'll have a knuckle sandwich.